Nothing will get you off your center anymore. 7 lesson for everyday life. When you become unshakable, the world stops being a threat. There are days when everything feels like a test. The traffic that doesn't move, the sideways glance, the unanswered message. Sometimes it's not even the event itself. It's what it triggers, an internal place already fragile, already sensitive, and then you explode, or withdraw, or simply feel like you've lost control of yourself. It's not just frustration. It's the uncomfortable feeling of always being at the mercy of others, of circumstances, of the unexpected, as if any detail had the power to steal your peace. But deep down, what you desire isn't control over events. It's self-mastery. What you long for isn't for the world to change. It's for your internal frequency to remain unbroken in the face of it, to feel that no matter what happens outside, there is a center within you that stays firm. There is grounding, a point of return. Seneca once said, "He is great who uses reason to master what he cannot control." And maybe what you need right now isn't more strength, but more clarity. Not more effort, but more inner space. A space where your response is greater than your impulse, where your calm is stronger than the chaos. And if, beyond philosophy, you feel that anxiety has taken up too much space inside you, if your body can't relax, if your mind races faster than it should, then maybe it's time to start within. In the first link of the description, you'll find the ebook Anxiety Under Control, a deeply crafted guide for those who feel like they've lost their internal rhythm but want to realign. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And this video is about that. About 7 rules that weren't created to make you cold, but to make you free. Rules that, when applied, shield your emotional frequency, restore your power of choice, and transform provocation into presence. If this path resonates with what you've been seeking, I invite you to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and turn on notifications. Not out of obligation, but because maybe in this space, you'll find something that gives back what the world tried to take, your center. Let's go together, because being unshakable is a practice, and it starts now. Lesson 1, choose your battles with vibrational wisdom. Not every discomfort is an invitation to react. Not every irritation deserves a response. Sometimes what hurts isn't the event itself, but the unconscious decision to get involved in everything. And when you engage in everything, you scatter, you drain. You reach the middle of the day feeling your energy is gone, not from big crises, but from small accumulated frictions. There's a wisdom that comes with time, realizing it's not worth wasting arrows on shadows. Because what provokes doesn't always have weight, doesn't always have roots. Sometimes it's just noise. And reacting to every noise is living in imbalance. It's living in constant alert. It's living in defense mode, even when there's no real attack. The Stoics knew this. That's why they cultivated a refined discernment, knowing what deserves your attention, what can be ignored, and what needs to be transformed. The Stoic 3 filters technique is born from this discernment. When facing any discomfort, ask yourself, is this essential? Is this within my control? Is this true? If the answer is no to 2 or more, maybe silence is the best response. Vibrational wisdom is not passivity. It's presence. It's knowing where your energy is well invested. It's perceiving that some forces grow when you react and die when you ignore. It's understanding your frequency is too sacred to waste on what doesn't build you up, on what doesn't take you anywhere but back to the same cycle of wear. Choosing your battles is choosing your peace. It's preserving what's essential, and by doing so, you don't become cold, you become whole. You become selective with what reaches your soul, because only those who know their worth choose what's no longer worth fighting for. Lesson 2. Breathe before you interpret. Not everything that affects you is what it seems. Most wounds are born from invisible haste, the rush to interpret without breathing, to draw conclusions while your heart is still racing, while your mind is still on high alert, while your body still echoes the last tension. And in this state, truth becomes distorted. Peace escapes. Wisdom gets lost. Epictetus would say that freedom isn't in what happens, but in how you respond. And for a response to be free, not automatic, it needs space, air, pause, presence. Neuroscience has already proven between stimulus and reaction, there is an interval that can be trained. 3 seconds, just 3 seconds. That's all it takes for the prefrontal cortex to take over from the emotional impulse. For you to not just react, but choose. Breathing before interpreting is choosing clarity. It's deciding that your peace is worth more than pride, that your lucidity is worth more than haste, that your integrity is worth more than the last word. It's understanding that what seems urgent often isn't. What seems offensive is often just noise. What seems personal almost never has anything to do with you. A mind that breathes before reacting turns thunder into learning. Because breathing is more than air going in and out. It's a bridge between what you feel and what you decide to do with it. It's in this space between impact and response that freedom lives. That awareness awakens, that a Stoic is shaped. And if you feel like you've been a prisoner of your own impulses, maybe it's time to slow down, to perceive before you judge, to feel before you interpret, to breathe before you respond, because sometimes the only thing separating you from peace is a conscious breath. Lesson 3, be aware of the silent irritation. You've normalized. Some discomforts don't scream, don't demand, don't disrupt your routine, but they still corrode, like constant drops hitting the same spot. At first, almost unnoticeable. Over time, unbearable. This is the nature of chronic irritation. Silent, persistent, normalized to the point of seeming like part of your personality, but it's not. It's a symptom of something unresolved, something that remained, something that accumulated inside, and now leaks without warning. Seneca warned, "Nothing is more contemptible than someone who gets upset by trifles." But what if the trifles have become the norm? When every small noise becomes tension, when a phone buzz, a disapproving glance, or a poorly worded message sparks a disproportionate discomfort. The truth is, the problem isn't the drop, it's the marble, already cracked, already fragile. Stoicism calls us to observe this wear with courage, to take an honest inventory. What in your day is draining your emotional energy without you noticing? What situations, people, or environments are pulling you out of center, not all at once, but little by little? Chronic irritation is your body's request for emotional cleansing, for presence, for decision, to stop swallowing what should never have been accepted. And no, this isn't resolved with empty phrases or attempts at constant positivity. It's resolved with clarity, with discernment, with practice, transmuting small tensions into conscious choices, noticing where you shrink and gently repositioning yourself. Because if you don't deal with what irritates you in silence, one day the scream will come without warning. But if you listen now, you might still avoid the storm and recover, drop by drop, the serenity that once slipped away. Lesson 4, protect your morning as sacred territory. There's a moment in the day when everything is still silent, when the world hasn't yet demanded from you, when your soul is still untouched by external stimuli. That moment is your morning, but often it's handed over to chaos before it's even felt. The first light in your eyes is from the screen. The first voice you hear isn't yours. It's the world's, the feed, the notifications, the urgency that wasn't born in you but still takes your attention. Giving the first hour of your day to your phone is letting the world shape your vibration. It's starting the day from the outside in. It's forgetting there's a direction that only reveals itself in silence. Mornings are meant to be sacred ground, a space where you anchor your presence, where you choose the tone of your vibration, where you breathe before you run, where you remember who you are before the demands begin. Stoicism doesn't ask us to control the external, it asks us to be conscious of the internal. Beginning the day by asking, what value will guide me today, is more than a practice. It's an act of sovereignty, a reminder that you can enter the world with intention, not just reaction. And in that space between waking and the world lies your power. The Stoic technique of reserving 20 minutes for silence, breathing, and reflection isn't about ritual. It's about rhythm, about not letting the tone of the day be dictated by noise. It's about tuning your mind like an instrument, because how you enter the day defines the music you'll play. And if you feel that anxiety already greets you upon waking, that your body wakes in a state of alert, maybe it's time to reclaim that lost territory. Your morning is a mirror, and the reflection it gives you is the one you allow. So tomorrow, before you open the world, open yourself to silence, to intention, to what brings you back to your center, because it's in how you begin that the day finds its axis. Lesson 5. Stop giving power to those who build nothing in you. Not every opinion deserves residence inside you. Not every criticism has the right to echo in your soul, but often that's exactly what happens. You give emotional power to those who never built anything in you. You allow empty words to become truths, and you get hurt. Not because of what they said, but because you forgot to protect yourself. It's a subtle addiction, seeking approval where there is no understanding, wanting acceptance from those who never saw your whole self, and reacting as if every comment were a faithful mirror of your essence. But it's not. Not everything that touches you deserves to be absorbed. Not everything that strikes you needs to be housed. Epictetus once wrote, "You are troubled by someone who wouldn't even pay the price of your silence." And this sentence reveals a power we often forget, the power to filter, to recognize that not every voice carries weight, that not every look has depth, and that your peace is worth more than the response you want to give. The vibrational mirror technique is simple, yet deep. Ask yourself, does what I just heard build me or shrink me? Does it awaken or drain me? Does it remind me of who I am or try to make me forget? Only what elevates you deserves your attention. Only what strengthens you deserves your energy. The rest is just noise. You weren't made to live on the defensive. You were made to expand. And expansion requires focus, requires discernment, requires awareness of what truly matters. So when faced with criticism or provocation, remember, don't step away from your light because of someone else's shadow. The shadow only exists where there's light. And if it follows you, it's because you're illuminating. Keep watching this video. There are still deep truths to remember. And if, so far, something has resonated with you, like this content, turn on notifications and subscribe. And if anxiety has been living in you, click the first link in the description to download the eBook, Anxiety Under Control. It might be your first step back to your axis. Lesson 6. Learn to be silent with dignity. Not every response is necessary. Not every word needs to be spoken. In a world that glorifies immediacy, silence has become a form of resistance, but not silence of avoidance. Silence of dignity, a silence that speaks more than 1,000 justifications, that chooses peace over performance, that understands that defending yourself isn't always self-preservation. The compulsion to explain, to clarify, to convince is born of an old wound, the fear of being misunderstood. But what is true doesn't need to be shouted. What is whole stands on its own, even in silence, especially in silence. Seneca said, "Silence is often the wisest response, because silence refines, polishes, aligns. It puts the ego aside and lets the soul speak." The Stoic practice here is clear. Speak only when your soul is free from ego, when your intention is clear, when your tone comes from awareness, not from defense. Silence is not absence, it is refinement. It doesn't dim your light, it concentrates it, and when needed it turns into firm, clear action, without noise, without haste, without fear. Allowing yourself to be silent with dignity is an act of inner authority. It tells the world you know who you are, and therefore don't need to prove it. And when this presence settles in, everything around you begins to align. Lesson 7. Respond as if it were your last day, with awareness and intention. There's a delusion we carry from the beginning, that time is guaranteed, that we'll have other chances, other conversations, other new beginnings. And in this illusion, we justify our emotional negligence. We react as if there's always a tomorrow to fix what we hurt today. But Marcus Aurelius offers a piercing clarity. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you think, say, and do. This isn't about fear. It's about presence, about intention, about living each gesture as if it were the final stroke in your story. Responding with awareness is a revolutionary act. It's choosing not to waste your energy on vanity. It's rejecting the emotional waste of reacting without thought. It's asking before every conflict, if this were my last confrontation, is it worth my peace? That question transforms. It humbles the ego, dissolves urgency, illuminates what truly matters, because in the end, no one regrets what they didn't say. They regret what they said without meaning, what they did without thinking, what they hurt without reason. The Stoic is the one who, even in the heat of provocation, remembers the eternity in a single moment. They don't react like someone surviving. They respond like someone living. And to live for the Stoic is to honor each choice as a reflection of your essence, not your emotion in the moment. Conclusion: you don't control the world, but you do control how you move within it. Everything changes. The world changes, people change, circumstances dance to a rhythm you don't conduct. And in the face of this instability, it's natural to want to cling to something, to seek control, to crave guarantees. But Seneca reminds us, nothing is as certain as the instability of the external. What seems solid outside dissolves. What appears eternal slips away. And in this sea of variations, only one anchor remains: the way you move. Marcus Aurelius completed this thought by saying, "The universe is change. Life is perception. It's how you see that determines how you feel, and how you feel determines how you live." That's why the 7 rules explored here aren't a shield against the world. They're a reunion with your inner fortress. You don't need everything around you to calm down to find peace. You need to remember that you already have peace, that it's there, buried under layers of reactivity, noise, rush, and fear. And with each conscious gesture, each choice for silence, each breath with intention, you move closer to it. At the end of each day, the key isn't how many victories you had, how many tasks you completed, or how many people approved of you. The key is simple, yet profound. Today, did what would normally shake me, or was I bigger than that? That question is a compass, a thermometer, a gateway. You're not the leaf in the wind, you are the root no one sees. But that supports everything. And when you remember that, nothing pulls you off center. Nothing steals your calm. Nothing defines who you are except you. If this video touched something in you, remember to subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. But more than that, remember to remain, to apply, to remember. And if you feel your anxiety needs more care, access the first link in the description to download the free ebook, Anxiety Under Control. It may be your next step, not a step away, but a step back. Back to yourself, back to what really matters, back to the place where nothing gets you off your center anymore.